ASML holding ASML, Beginner's Guide. Here is a wild fact to start with. Every single advanced chip in your phone, your laptop, your gaming console, and every server running AI models in the cloud, the patterns on those chips were almost certainly drawn by a machine built by one company in the Netherlands. That company is ASML. They are the only company on Earth that makes the most advanced chip-making machines, and without them the modern chip industry literally cannot exist. Quick disclaimer before we dig in, this is educational only, not investment advice. We're going to talk about what the business does, not whether the stock is a buy. So, what does ASML actually do? ASML sells lithography machines. Lithography just means printing patterns with light. In this case, printing the unbelievably tiny circuits that make up a computer chip. Think of it like a very fancy projector that uses light to draw billions of microscopic wires onto a silicon wafer. The company has 4 product lines, and in FY 2025 they brought in about 33 billion euros. The biggest is EUV systems at roughly 36% of revenue, around 11.6 billion euros. EUV stands for extreme ultraviolet, light with a wavelength so short it can print features smaller than any other tool can manage. They shipped 48 of these machines in FY 2025, including the brand new High-NA versions. High-NA just means the lens collects more light so it can draw even sharper patterns. Each regular EUV machine sells for more than 150 million euros, and a High-NA machine sells for over 350 million euros. The second pillar is DUV systems at about 37% of revenue, 12 billion euros. DUV is deep ultraviolet, the older generation of light source, still essential for the bulk of chip layers. Then there is installed base management at about 25%, or 8.2 billion euros, growing 26% year-over-year. That is service, upgrades, and spare parts on the 100-plus machines already installed in customer factories, the recurring revenue, like a subscription. The fourth piece is metrology and inspection, the tools that measure whether the printed chip patterns came out correctly. Customers split roughly 2/3 logic chips, the brains like the processor in your phone, and 1/3 memory chips, where data is stored. So, who does ASML compete with, and how does it win? Here is what makes ASML unique. The moat assessment on this company is wide, the highest possible rating. Moat is investor slang for competitive advantage, the thing that keeps other companies from catching up. For EUV machines specifically, ASML has an absolute monopoly. Every advanced chip below the 7-nanometer node requires an ASML tool. Decades of effort by other companies have failed to produce an alternative. The closest historical competitor in lithography was Nikon of Japan, but Nikon never cracked EUV and now competes only in the older DUV segment. The second piece of the moat is ecosystem lock-in. ASML owns about 25% of Carl Zeiss SMT, the German company that makes the precision optics inside every EUV machine, arguably the most precise objects ever manufactured by humans. ASML also has an exclusive partnership with Trumpf, the German company that makes the lasers that generate the EUV light, plus a network of more than 5,000 other suppliers built up over decades. A competitor cannot just decide to enter this market and catch up. The third piece is the customer side. TSMC alone is about 30% of ASML's revenue, with Samsung, Intel, SK Hynix, and Micron rounding out the base. These chip makers build factories costing tens of billions of dollars around ASML tools, so switching costs are enormous. And on top of all that, ASML is sitting on a 38.8 billion euro backlog, more than a full year of revenue already booked. What are the key drivers for the business over the past 5 years? 2 forces have driven ASML's growth over the last 5 years. The first is what the industry calls EUV intensity. As chip makers move to more advanced manufacturing nodes, right now from 3-nanometer to 2-nanometer chips, they need more layers printed using EUV light per wafer. The number of EUV layers per chip rose from around 14 a few years ago to 20 plus today, and memory makers like Samsung and Micron are now switching from older multi-step printing to single-step EUV too. More layers per wafer means more machines sold. EUV revenue grew 39% year-over-year in FY 2025 to €11.6 billion. The second growth engine is the installed base. Once an EUV machine ships and lands in a customer factory, it stays there for 15 to 20 years, and every year ASML sells that customer service contracts, upgrades, and field options. With more than 100 EUV systems now in the field, that recurring revenue stream reached €8.2 billion in FY 2025, up from just €4.1 billion in FY 2020, essentially doubling in 5 years. And here is the kicker on profits. The company spent roughly 14% of sales on research and development, about €4.7 billion, but that R&D spend is relatively fixed regardless of how many machines they ship. So as revenue grew from 14 billion to 33 billion euros, the cost base did not grow nearly as fast, and operating margin expanded from around 26% to around 33%. The big customer end markets driving all of this are advanced logic at the foundries, TSMC's N2 node, Intel's 18A, Samsung's 2nm, and the AI build-out, which has memory customers like SK Hynix, Samsung, and Micron sold out through 2026 and beyond. To wrap up, to bring it all together, ASML is the sole global supplier of the most advanced chip-making machines on Earth, with an absolute monopoly on EUV lithography and deep recurring revenue from a growing installed base. As a learner watching this business going forward, the things to keep an eye on are concrete. Watch the high-NA ramp. Production has hit 500,000 wafers processed and 80% plus availability, and the next-generation low-NA platform called NXE 3800F is scheduled to ship in 2027. Watch how China export restrictions evolve, since China sales have already fallen from about 49% at the peak to a projected 20% in FY 2026. And watch the AI-driven memory and logic capacity expansion. That is the business. Educational only, not investment advice. Thanks for listening.